Hello again, friends, and welcome into another edition of Wrestling with Rusty right here on YouTube for December 14th, 2025. Welcome in. Happy holidays. Make sure you don't drink and drive, and make sure you know who you're getting in the car with before you get in the car. Hello, whoever this is. I can't see who you are, but uh, thank you for jumping on. Whoever that may be, I can't see. I'm sorry if I can't call your name, but welcome in and welcome into those of you that are going to watch this on playback. Let me do some housekeeping notes before I get started. Please remember to like the videos on the channel, subscribe to the channel if you hadn't done so already. Go back and look at some of the old videos on the channel, especially the one about 1980s Jay Youngblood having sex with underage kids back in the day. But not just that one. There's a lot of other good ones. Anyway, long story short, a few days ago, I had a video I put out about Powertown wrestling, not um, not uh, getting the fans, some of the fans, or most of the fans actually, their wrestling figures. Yeah, sure, some of them got some of their figures, but the vast majority have been waiting 2 or 3 years or more for their figures. Now I find out just the other day from Kerry Morton, son of legendary pro wrestler Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express, that Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson of the Rock and Roll Express, even though their figure has come out and has been sold to the public, they have not received one dime of their action figure money. So it stands to reason that if they haven't received any money, neither has no other wrestler received any money. Recently, Greg Gagne and Magnum TA, two people still affiliated with Powertown, had a podcast on their network and said all this is going to be ironed out in the near future and everybody's going to get their figure. Ironically, they didn't say a damn thing about when the wrestlers were going to get paid, but they never said specifically either when the customers were going to get their wrestling figures and how they go about getting refunds if they don't want to wait for the figure anymore. And it's one big bowl of wax that I'm glad I didn't have money at the time to pay for a Powertown action figure, because I have a feeling I probably would not have um, gotten my figure either. Having said all of that, um, Powertown should close down. If most of your fans don't have the figures, and now the Rock and Roll Express, your highest rated figure, uh, your highest rated wrestlers that were of their figures sold, and you didn't pay them yet, obviously that means Powertown has money troubles. They admitted that the reason they took pre-orders was because they were underfunded and needed that funding to fund some additional production. Well, you shouldn't have took that money. You should have waited till you had the figures in hand and then sold the figures before you decided to take people's money. However, Magnum TA did say that once this is ironed out, that going forward, they would not take any pre-orders, and in that they would not take any orders until they had the figures in-house and ready to be sold. But at this point, Powertown has lied so much, and Steve Rosenthal, who was originally with the company and with the AWA action figures back in the day in the 1980s, he's no longer with the company. And ironically, Magnum TA and Greg Gagne refused to say, why did Steve Rosenthal leave? Where is he at? Did he run off with the money? What happened? All this is very, very sneaky and underhanded. But the point of this video is not about the customers getting shafted. It's about Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson of the Rock and Roll Express getting shafted. Their business manager is Ricky Morton's son, Kerry Morton, who is going to school for a business degree. And Kerry Morton, most notably of the NWA, National Wrestling Alliance, currently owned by Billy Corrigan, said that he's tried to get to the bottom of it, and he's going to have to call Greg Gagne pretty soon again and everything. But with apologies to Kerry Morton, Ricky Morton, and to Robert Gibson, I don't think none of you are going to get your money until you go get a lawyer. Maybe you need to get Stephen P. New at 877-50-STEVE. And Steve did not sponsor this video. I'm just saying Steve New is Jim Cornette's attorney. He's also a wrestling fan, and he doesn't take no crap. So remember, if you got problems, 877-50-STEVE. Not only about Powertown, but about most other things in the wrestling community or anything else. Having said that, I wonder, is anybody ever going to get their figures now? And if they do, are the wrestlers going to get paid? And if the wrestlers get paid for this round of figures, how long is it going to take for more figures to come out? The bottom line is this whole thing, excuse my language, is a cluster F, if you know what I mean. They just need to close down the company. This thing obviously somewhere along the line, and I don't know where, fell apart. And they need to refund people's money and close down the company. But the problem is, I don't think they've got the money to refund everybody's money, even if they close down the company. So for those of you that still need figures, I say you need to contact the Federal Trade Commission, Better Business Bureau, or an attorney. And for those wrestlers out there, not just Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson of the Rock and Roll Express, but anybody else that hadn't gotten money, I think you need to contact an attorney as well. And this person's back, and I'm sorry I can't see your name again, but let me enlarge my screen. Hang on, sir. Don't leave. Don't leave the chat. I want to acknowledge you here since you are nice enough to be here and everything. Let me acknowledge you. I can see now. This comment is from Mark Fusion. He says, great video the other day about George South. Yeah, Mark, don't trust George South. He's a lying piece of garbage. He's just very crafty. He's not outspoken. He reminds me of one of these 1980s preachers that, took people's money and lied and took people's prayer requests and never prayed for them and different things like that. But this video ain't about George South, unfortunately. This video is about Powertown Wrestling that's also conning people much like George South did. But anyway, Kerry Morton said on the Monty and the Pharaoh podcast that Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson have not received any money for their action figures. And may I say hello to Certified Wrestling Podcast. Hello, Certified Wrestling Podcast. And if you'd ever like to have me on your podcast, please call me at 724-826-0449 a couple days ahead of time, and I'd like to be on your podcast, or send me an email at rusty.loudermilk@yahoo.com. And Loudermilk is LOUDERMILK. And you must put a dot between the first name and the last name. Otherwise, it's not going to go through. For those of you that are not trying to get me on your podcast, if you want to send me an email or contact me, you can do that by phone or at the email that I just gave you. But anyway, Kerry Morton also said that if it couldn't be resolved, that Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson might have to take legal action concerning Powertown. So stay here and I'll try to keep you updated as I hear more. One other thing two other things actually, while I got you here. Number one, I received a call from a fan of the channel, Mr. David Pennington of Belmont, North Carolina. And Mr. Pennington said that he has several $100s of action figures out, and he still hasn't received his action figures or any correspondence at all from Powertown Wrestling as to when he's going to get either his money back or his figures. So the thing just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And a little side note that has nothing to do with Powertown Wrestling in this case, former professional wrestler Steve Regal, Mr. Electricity. Now, it should be noted that this is not the William Regal of WWE fame, and this is not Steve Regal of WCW fame. This is the Steve Regal of AWA of the 1980s and of Jim Crockett Promotions of the 1980s that was a tag team partner, most notably with gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. They were the AWA tag team champions back in the day, and both Jimmy Garvin and Steve Regal worked separately in Jim Crockett Promotions in the 80s. But I say all that to make this point. Mr. Electricity Steve Regal passed away back in July, but it just leaked out on the internet. So we send our condolences to the friends, family, and fans of Mr. Electricity Steve Regal. I met him once, but he probably wouldn't have remembered it even if he was still alive. But I tell you, I always say I enjoy doing this channel and everything, but telling you guys about this stuff as your heroes die, unless you're George South or Abdullah the Butcher, two pieces of shit, when the heroes die like this, it really makes me sad. But that's why we got to be grateful for each day we have, and tell your friends and family that you love them. And if you got a beef with somebody, try to go squash it before it's too late. But we got to wait and see what happens between Powertown Wrestling and the fans, and now Powertown Wrestling and other wrestlers not being paid. And ironically, one more thing, Jim Cornette has now came out recently and said that Powertown Wrestling and Greg Gagne lied and said that Stan Lane of the Midnight Express and the fabulous one, Stan Lane, sweet Stan Lane back in the day, had signed with Powertown Wrestling. And that's not the case. You can get Jim Cornette figures and the Midnight Express figures on Jim Cornette's site at jimcornette.com. Stan Lane did not sign with Powertown Wrestling, and Powertown Wrestling sent Stan Lane some papers to try to get him to sign. Stan Lane didn't sign, but ironically, they couldn't even get Stan Lane's real name correct on the paperwork. That's how Mickey Mouse this Powertown Wrestling company really is. And if they can't get people's real name right on the figures, how are they, on the papers, how are they supposed to get the figures out or the royalties paid to the wrestlers? I have a feeling this thing is going to get worse before it gets better. But either way, I'll keep you posted right here on this and any other issue pertaining to classic wrestling or current wrestling right here on Wrestling with Rusty. And until we meet again, my friends, God bless, happy wrestling, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye for now.